Prologue, a land of shadows and secrets. For many years, the border between Grand March and the Kingdom of Kaoland has known peace, a quiet harmony between two proud lands. But in the western reaches of this frontier, the landscape tells a different tale. Here, the Rushmores sprawl across an otherwise fertile plain, their stagnant bogs and slime, coated pools glinting with an eerie sheen under the pale sky. To the north, the dim forest looms, its tall trunks rising like ancient sentinels, draped in tendrils of moss that dangle in the still air. The forest's dark recesses cast long, foreboding shadows, and even the most stalwart travelers pause at its edge, their hearts heavy with the whispers of danger that linger among the trees. Not long ago, a group of bold adventurers carved a narrow caravan track through a finger of the dim forest, a path that now connects the town of Ho-Chok in Kaoland to Grand March's thriving capital, Hookhill. This track is a lifeline for trade, but it is no easy road. Ogres and goblins haunt the woods, often roaming in large, bloodthirsty bands, their growls echoing through the trees. Traders must take precautions, their hands tight on their weapons, their eyes darting to every shadow. Only the luckiest or most well-armed caravans make the journey unscathed, their torches flickering against the encroaching darkness as they hurry through the forest's grip. Between the Rushmores and the dim forest lies the village of Orlane, a place born of hope and hard work nearly a generation ago. Explorers from Ho-Chok discovered this land, marveling at its fertility, soil so rich it promised crops half again as large as those grown elsewhere. Farmers soon followed, their plows breaking the earth, and a temple to Marika, the chaotic good goddess of agriculture, was raised in the village's heart. Orlane flourished, growing into a thriving community of 300 souls, its fields bursting with golden wheat and vibrant vegetables, a testament to the land's bounty. Life on the frontier was never without its challenges. Bands of humanoids from the forest and strange, scaly creatures from the swamp occasionally harassed the settlers, their raids a constant threat. But the farmers of Orlane were a hardy folk, unyielding in the face of danger. They formed a well-trained militia, meeting the monsters with cold steel and fierce determination. The humanoids soon learned that Orlane was a village best left alone, its people standing firm against any who dared to threaten their home. Yet, over the past year, a shadow has fallen over Orlane, subtle at first, but growing darker with each passing month. The village's population has dwindled, a slow and steady decline that has left the once bustling community hollow. Many farmers have packed their possessions and left, seeking less fertile lands for reasons no one can explain. Some homes have been found abandoned, meals left uneaten on tables, crops unharvested in the fields, as if the families vanished into the night. No explanation has ever been offered for these strange disappearances. Some families return after a week or two, their faces pale and their eyes distant, while others are never heard from again. The friendly spirit that once defined Orlane has faded, replaced by suspicion and fear. Those who remain have drawn in upon themselves, rarely speaking to neighbors, their doors barred against the world. Strangers, once welcomed with open arms, are now met with questions and challenges, their presence stirring unease in a village that no longer trusts itself. The air in Orlane feels heavy, as if the very land holds its breath, waiting for something or someone to break the silence. Something sinister is at work in Orlane, a darkness that festers beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. Chapter 1. Whispers in Ho-Chok. The scene shifts to early morning in Ho-Chok, a bustling medieval town on the banks of the Real Stream in the fertile Cup region. The sun casts a pale golden light over the cobblestone streets, slick with dew and patches of mud, as 6 figures gather in the shadow of the castle gates. The air carries the scent of fresh bread from the market, and the distant murmur of the river. But there's a tension in the town, a quiet unease born of the rumors that have reached its walls, rumors of trouble in Orlane. Magnus, a stout dwarf fighter with a bushy beard streaked with gray, stands with his axe resting on his shoulder, his deep-set eyes scanning the group. His gruff voice breaks the silence, carrying the weight of concern.
Orlane's in trouble. Folks disappearing. Homes left empty with food still on the table. We can't ignore it. Something's wrong, and I mean to find out what.
Mydell, an elf with silver hair and sharp green eyes, clutches her spell book, her curious mind already racing with possibilities. Her voice is thoughtful, tinged with intrigue as she speaks.
I've heard the same. Families vanishing, then returning with strange looks in their eyes, like they're not themselves. It sounds like dark magic to me, and I want to know what's behind it.
Brenton, a lean human thief with dark hair, twirls his dagger, his sly grin hiding a cautious nature. He speaks in a low, calculating tone, his words sharp with suspicion.
The way I hear it, Orlane's turned cold. Folks don't trust each other anymore, and strangers get challenged at every turn. Sounds like a place where secrets are worth more than gold, and I'm not one to pass that up.
Gwendolyn, a human cleric with a serene face, adjusts the simple silver symbol at her throat, her calm presence a soothing contrast to the group's tension. Her voice is gentle but firm, filled with conviction.
The rumors speak of a darkness in Orlane, a shadow that's driving good people apart and making them fear their own neighbors. If evil is at work, we must bring light to it. I cannot stand by while such suffering festers.
Kendrick, a tall, broad-shouldered human fighter, grips his longsword, his bold grin flashing with eagerness. His voice booms with confidence, cutting through the morning air.
I heard some farmers left their crops to rot in the fields, just up and vanished. Sounds like trouble worth facing. Whatever's plaguing Orlane, I say we go in and smash it. Make 'em wish they never crossed us.
Ruskin, a tiny halfling barely 3 feet tall, adjusts his leather armor, his weathered face, marked by a crooked nose and a scar, breaking into a mischievous grin as his pointed ears twitch. His raspy voice carries a playful edge, but his sharp eyes glint with cunning.
I got the skinny. Orlane's gone from friendly to downright hostile, with folks disappearing and coming back off. Not right, if you get me. I say there's a mystery worth poking at, and where there's mystery, there's loot for a clever sort like me.
The six stand together, their voices mingling in the cool morning air, each bringing their own perspective to the troubling rumors from Orlane. The weight of the unknown hangs over them, but their resolve is clear. They will uncover the truth, whatever it may be. The party sets out along the Duke's Highway, a weathered but usable road stretching through the lightly wooded plains of the Cup. Light watchtowers dot the horizon, their signals a promise of safety in these troubled lands. The journey is uneventful, the air filled with the scent of grass and the distant murmur of the Reel stream. By evening, they reach the outskirts of Orlane, the village shrouded in an eerie stillness. The dim forest looms nearby, its shadows deepening as the sun sets. Magnus holds up his torch, casting a 30-foot radius of flickering light across the muddy path.
We're here.
He grunts, his pragmatic nature taking over.
Let's start at the edge of the village and work our way in.
Chapter 2: Shadows of Orlane. The party approaches the first location in Orlane, a wooden farmhouse surrounded by well-tended flower gardens with a small barn beyond. Boxed text read aloud description. This wooden house is surrounded by attractive flower gardens with a small barn beyond. A teenage girl is churning butter on the porch, but she sees your group and runs into the house at your approach. Shadowy forms are visible behind closed curtains. The air carries the faint scent of blooming flowers, a stark contrast to the oppressive silence that hangs over the village. No sounds of livestock or evening chatter, just the creak of the barn doors in the breeze and the soft rustle of leaves. The teenage girl's sudden retreat sends a ripple of tension through the party, and the shadowy forms behind the curtains only deepen the unease. Magnus lowers his torch slightly, his gruff voice steady but cautious.
She ran off quick, too quick. They're watching us, and they don't look friendly.
Brenton, his sly nature kicking in, narrows his eyes as he studies the windows.
Those shadows aren't moving much, but they're definitely keeping an eye on us. I say we tread carefully. Don't want to walk into an ambush.
Ruskin, his mischievous grin flashing, adjusts his sling, his sharp eyes glinting with curiosity.
Scared of a few farmers? Let's see if they got anything worth hiding. I'll bet there's more to this place than flowers.
Mydle, her sharp-witted mind already analyzing the scene, clutches her spellbook, her voice thoughtful.
The girls' fear, the silence, the way they're hiding, it's not natural. I'll cast Detect Magic to see if there's any enchantment at work.
Gwendolyn, her serene presence calming the group, places a hand on her holy symbol, her voice gentle but firm.
I'll cast Detect Evil as well. If there's darkness here, we need to know before we approach.
Mydell steps forward, her silver hair catching the torchlight as she chants softly. Casting Detect Magic. Takes one turn, range 60 feet. After a moment, her expression softens slightly.
There's no magical aura here. No enchantment on the house or its people.
Gwendolyn closes her eyes, her hands glowing with a soft light as she casts her spell. Casting Detect Evil. Takes one turn, range 120 feet.
Nor do I sense any evil intent,
she says, her voice steady.
They may be afraid, but they're not corrupted. At least not in the way we feared.
Kendrick, his boldness tempered by the group's caution, grips his longsword but keeps it sheathed.
No magic, no evil. Then let's talk to them. See what they know about Orlane's troubles. I'll knock.
Magnus nods, his pragmatic nature agreeing with the plan.
Aye, but let's be ready for anything. They're on edge, and we don't want to fight if we can avoid it.
Kendrick steps up to the porch and knocks firmly on the door, his tall frame casting a long shadow in the torchlight. After a tense moment, the door creaks open, revealing a weathered farmer, Hewitt Twain, his face etched with suspicion. Two grown sons stand behind him, their eyes narrowed as they peer through the doorway, their hands resting on makeshift weapons. Hewitt's voice is polite but clipped, his tone leaving no room for argument. What do you want? We don't take kindly to strangers around here. Hidden details. The farmer, Hewitt Twain, and his two grown sons are watching the party suspiciously, while the wife and daughter hide in the kitchen at the rear of the house. Hewitt does all the talking, remaining polite but quiet, and will not allow strangers inside. He understands that Orlane has changed drastically, but doesn't know why. Gwendolyn steps forward, her nurturing nature guiding her words, her voice soft and reassuring.
We mean no harm. We've heard troubling rumors about Orlane. Families disappearing, people acting strange. We're here to help.
Hewitt's expression softens slightly, but his suspicion remains. I don't know what you're talking about, he says, his voice guarded. Things have changed, sure. Folks leaving, some coming back. Different. But I don't know why, and I don't want trouble. You'd best move on. Brenton, his opportunistic mind sensing an opportunity, tries to press for more.
Different how? We're not here to cause trouble. Just trying to understand what's going on.
Hewitt's eyes narrow and he shakes his head. I've said enough. You're not coming in, and I've got nothing more to tell you. Leave us be. He steps back, closing the door firmly, the shadowy forms of his sons disappearing behind the curtains once more. Magnus grunts, his pragmatic mind already moving to the next step.
He's scared, but he's not charmed. Let's check the barn. Might be something useful there. Then move on.
The party approaches the barn, and Kendrick pulls the doors open. The interior is well stocked with corn and wheat, and a dozen goats are penned in the back, their bleats breaking the silence. Ruskin, his mischievous streak kicking in, searches the barn for anything of value. Thief skill, find traps, 20%. Rolling for Ruskin, 45, failure, but finds nothing beyond the supplies and livestock. Hidden details remain. Hidden. Beneath the planks in Hewitt's bedroom floor, there's a sack with 54 gold pieces, 86 electrum pieces, and 240 silver pieces. But the party doesn't enter the house to discover this. The party steps back onto the path, the weight of Hewitt's words settling over them. Orlane has indeed changed, and the farmer's fear only deepens the mystery. They found no answers here, but the journey has just begun. The party leaves the pleasant farmhouse behind, the flickering torchlight casting long shadows across the muddy path as they move deeper into Orlane. The words of Hewitt Twain echo in their minds. Families leaving, some returning different. The village gripped by an unspoken fear. The air grows colder, the silence of the village pressing in around them, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl in the dim forest. They approach the next location, a nondescript square wooden building, its heavy shutters closed over the windows, giving it a fortress-like appearance. This nondescript square wooden building has heavy shutters closed over the windows. The door looks stout but stands open. No people are visible. Behind this building is another long, low structure. The building's open door is an odd contrast to its otherwise fortified look, and the absence of visible people sends a ripple of unease through the party. The long, low structure behind the building, likely a stable or storage shed, sits quietly in the shadows, its purpose unclear in the dim light. Magnus lowers his torch slightly, his gruff voice tinged with suspicion.
Looks like a guard post, but that open door doesn't sit right. Someone's here, or they were in a hurry to leave.
Brenton, his sly nature kicking in, studies the building with narrowed eyes.
No one in sight, but I'd wager they're watching us, just like at the farmhouse. Let's be careful. I don't trust this place.
Ruskin, his mischievous grin returning, adjusts his sling, his sharp eyes glinting with curiosity.
An open door's an invitation if you ask me. Let's see who's home. Maybe they've got some answers or something worth taking.
Mydell, her sharp-witted mind already analyzing the scene, clutches her spellbook, her voice cautious.
The last house wasn't enchanted, but this feels different. More guarded. I'll cast Detect Magic again, just to be sure.
Gwendolyn, her serene presence steadying the group, places a hand on her holy symbol, her voice soft but firm.
I'll cast Detect Evil as well. If there's darkness here, we need to know before we step inside.
Mydell steps forward, her silver hair catching the torchlight as she chants softly. Casting Detect Magic, takes one turn, range 60 feet. After a moment, her expression tightens.
There's no magical aura here, no enchantment on the building or anyone inside.
Gwendolyn closes her eyes, her hands glowing with a soft light as she casts her spell. Casting Detect Evil, her eyes snap open, a flicker of concern crossing her serene face.
Evil radiates from within,
she says, her voice steady but grave.
It's not imposed, like a charm. This is their own darkness.
Kendrick, his boldness flaring at the news, grips his long sword, his grin turning fierce.
Evil, you say? Then let's go in and deal with it. I'm not here to tiptoe around trouble.
Magnus holds up a hand, his pragmatic nature taking over.
Hold, lad. They're evil, but we don't know what we're walking into. Let's call out first, see if they'll talk before we start a fight.
Brenton nods, his cautious side agreeing with Magnus.
Smart. If they're hostile, we'll know soon enough. Let's not rush in blind.
Magnus steps forward, his gruff voice carrying across the quiet yard.
Hello in there. We're travelers passing through Orlane, looking to speak with the constable. We mean no harm.
A moment of silence stretches, heavy with tension, before a figure appears in the doorway, a broad-shouldered man in banded mail, a long sword at his hip, and a light crossbow slung over his shoulder. This is Grover Ruskadal, the constable, though the party doesn't yet know his name. Two other men step into view behind him, both armed and armored, one in gleaming plate mail with a spear and long sword, the other in banded mail with a crossbow. Their expressions are hard, their eyes cold as they size up the party. Hidden details revealed through interaction. Inside is Grover Ruskadal, the constable, a tough fighter in banded mail with a long sword and crossbow, and a cult member for 8 months. With him are two other cult members, Donovan Allard, a skilled warrior in plate mail with a magical spear, and Holber Onfray, a sturdy fighter in banded mail with a crossbow. Grover will do most of the talking, trying to find out the party's intentions while disarming their suspicions. Grover's voice is steady, but there's an edge to it, a false friendliness that doesn't reach his eyes. I'm Grover Ruskadal, Constable of Orlane. What brings you to our village? Not many travelers come this way anymore. Gwendolyn, her nurturing nature guiding her, steps forward, her voice gentle but firm.
We've heard troubling rumors. Families disappearing, people acting strange. We're here to help, to understand what's happening in Orlane.
Grover's expression doesn't change, but his eyes flicker with calculation. Rumors, eh? He says, his tone dismissive. Orlane's had its troubles, sure. Folks leaving, some coming back. But it's nothing to concern yourselves with. How long are you planning to stay? Mydell, her curiosity piqued by Grover's evasiveness, presses further, her voice thoughtful.
We spoke to a farmer nearby, Hewitt Twain. He said people are returning different. What does that mean?
Grover's jaw tightens slightly, but he keeps his tone even. Hewitt's a warrior. People come and go. It's a hard life out here. I'd advise you to mind your own business and stay out of trouble. Orlane doesn't take kindly to strangers poking around. Donovan, the man in plate mail, steps forward, his hand resting on his spear, his voice low and threatening. The constable's right. You do well to keep your noses out of things that don't concern you. Hulbar, the other man, nods in agreement, his crossbow held at the ready. We've got enough problems without outsiders stirring up more. Brenton, his sly nature sensing the underlying threat, offers a disarming grin, his voice light but probing.
No trouble intended. We're just passing through, like you said. But if there's something we should know, we'd rather hear it now than stumble into it later.
Grover's eyes narrow, but he forces a smile. You've been warned. Keep to yourselves, and you'll be fine. Now, if you'll excuse us, we've got business to attend to. He steps back inside, his companions following, and the door closes with a heavy thud, leaving the party in the quiet yard. Magnus grunts, his pragmatic mind already piecing things together.
That was no welcome. They're hiding something, and they don't want us here. Gwendolyn, you said they're evil?
Gwendolyn nods, her serene face troubled.
Yes, their intent is dark. They may not be charmed, but they're part of whatever's wrong in Orlane.
Ruskin, his mischievous streak flaring, rubs his hands together, his raspy voice eager.
Sounds like we've got some troublemakers to keep an eye on. I say we poke around a bit more. See what else this village is hiding.
Mydell, her sharp mind racing, agrees.
Grover was too quick to dismiss us. He knows more than he's letting on. Let's move on. But we should watch our backs. They'll be watching us now.
Kendrick, his boldness simmering, clenches his fist around his longsword's hilt.
Let him watch. I'd like to see him try something. We'll get to the bottom of this, one way or another.
Hidden details remain hidden. Grover keeps a sack in his desk containing 21 gold pieces and 88 silver pieces, but the party doesn't enter the building to discover this. Later, if the party asks too many questions, Grover and his men will attempt to intimidate them into leaving town, but this hasn't happened yet. The party steps back onto the path, the constable's warning ringing in their ears. They've encountered their first real hint of danger in Orlane, and the darkness Wendelane sensed only deepens the mystery. The village's shadows seem to grow longer as they continue their journey.